Western Spain Television, ours it is.
Education is central to Nigerians from this part of the country. The importance attached to education is historic. From the regional administration of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, successive governments have seen the need to prioritize attention to the development of the education sector. OSUN is among Southwest states where this priority is highly cherished, but it has not been a smooth ride for government in the quest to sustain the revolution which the founding fathers in Osun State brought into the education sector. Policy differences and somersault have largely accounted for this. Today, the dark climate is witnessing a silver lining courtesy of the education reform policy of the Adeleke administration. This week, the focus is how the Ministry of Education is being given a leeway to correct inadequacies which have constituted a stumbling block in the attainment of free and qualitative education in Osun State. This is the main thrust of our discourse on episode 10 of Living Spring Update. Your anchor is Tomilola Daniel.
Bàtàlẹ́ àdúgbò kó ká bí ó ká kàwé rẹ̀. Tí ó bá kàwé rẹ̀. Oníkejì kan tó bá kàwé kọ́. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
The education sector in Osun State is in need of huge capital, human resource, and constant policy reforms, which only a serious and focused government can implement. The ups and downs in education have determined the acceptability and rejection of various governments, particularly civilian administrations in Osun State, since its creation in 1991. This is due to the principled and emotional attachment of the people to education. Governor Adeleke came into office with that mindset and has been assiduously working to produce an education reform policy that will place Osun State as first among equals in the provision of qualitative education. The Education Summit, organized in the early part of this administration, was the first sign of a serious, well-thought-out policy to remove the cobweb of problems pertaining to shortage of teachers, inadequate funding, and discipline among pupils and students, dearth of instructional materials, politicization of administration in the public school system, and low work morale of teachers, among others. Stakeholders in the education sector are not oblivious of these problems and have indicated interest in supporting the reform agenda of Governor Adeleke, having been convinced of his sincerity in this regard. The Education Summit reviewed past policies, identified those that require corrections, and made recommendations for sustainable development in the sector.
Our administration has identified education as a common heritage that good governance could bestow on its teeming citizenry. We know and acknowledge the desperate yearnings of an average Yoruba parent to ensure that his or her child is reasonably educated for gainful engagement in all spheres of life.
The Teaching Service Commission, TESCOM, is an important pillar which unfortunately had suffered the effects of chaotic policy somersault in the past 12 years. The previous administrations cared little of how sensitive the agency is to the success of the public school system, with the result that teachers had a very rough time and their morale was adversely affected. Most public schools had no teachers, while the few that were available to teach were so overburdened. Speaking to Living Spring Update, the chairman of Teaching Service Commission, TESCOM, Comrade Temitope Mustafa Adeyemi, captured the moribund condition of the agency as a revised chapter in the history of education in Osun State.
TESCOM is the Teaching Service Commission, which has been in existence for over 3 decades. It is a commission which is established by law, and it is found in at least the 6 western states of the Federation. The Teaching Service Commission, when I came, was a moribund place. But to the glory of God, because we know that the government of the day, acronym IMOLE, is bringing Imole to our people. We felt that there is no problem that is insurmountable. This is a place that when I came, I nearly ran back. I found files of teachers littered around all over the place. The Teaching Service Commission is meant to actually protect, promote the interests of our teachers so that they can deliver adequately to our children. You all agree with me that before this government came in, we've been having series of backwardness in terms of our result, especially in the public secondary schools.
Comrade Adeyemi, however, is happy today that the state government is in position to change the bad lot of TESCOM to positivity, drawing on Governor Deleke's passionate commitment to implementing the recommendations of the Education Summit and the endorsements by the academic community of steps being taken by the state government to put education in Osun State at its appropriate level.
And that has been a challenge to this government. And I think it is a good thing for this government to actually identify the causes of the failure. And to God be the glory, His Excellency, Senator Nuruddin Demola Adeleke, identify it. And that was why the Education Summit of 2023 was put in place. And where we have everybody inclusive. And at the end of the day, the Education Summit is what we are working across, because the summit have given their findings, their resolutions, their recommendations. And the Ademola government is actually implementing those programs.
We've been trying to make sure that the glory of yesterday's TESCOM is back today. Our teachers, our principals that have been denied over the years for political reasons or wherever, who have not been promoted, of course this administration has promoted them. Those who, for political reasons, because they identify you knowingly or unknowingly with the political alliance, I say you are not going to be a principal in this state. But the Ademola government have come and said that no, it's a government of justice, it's a government of the people, it's a government that does not recognize party, nor recognize religion. So the Teaching Service Commission have promoted teachers who are overdue, and we are wonderfully doing well. Not only that, because the Teaching Service Commission TESCOM have been decimated over about nearly 2 decades now. So we've been trying to put in place, how do we get our debtors? How do we help the government? Because if you don't have debtors, understand that the government can work on, there will be no development. So, for instance, we've been able to do a kind of verification. How many of us are in the teaching service? Who and who is this? What do you have? What is your qualification? So that where are you? What we're trying to do is that the government is trying to digitalize the commission, so that come what may, if we build institution, you understand, the institution will always be there. What the Western world have always exerted is that they are building institutions. We are not building institutions, we are building personnel. So this government is out to build institutions. So whatever we put in place today, any government that is coming, whoever that is coming, will be able to know where we stop and pick it up from there, not going back to the scratch. For this government, we came and we went to the scratch to begin to build TESCOM. And today, by the grace of God, TESCOM is going to places.
Mr. Eluwole Sunday Adedipo is your Osun State Commissioner for Education. The ministry has statutory duties to coordinate the agencies on the rate for effective delivery. Apart from inadequacies of teachers in a good number of public schools, especially in the rural areas of the state, the ministry has been contending with high cost of maintenance of school infrastructure, most of which are in a dilapidating conditions. The various schools built by the APC administrations are grappling with structural defects. How has the ministry applied itself to the grim realities that 12 years of mismanagement have unleashed on the education sector in Osun State?
The problem on ground when they came back here, when we came here, is enormous. To start with, let us talk about indiscipline. It was at the highest level before we came, on the part of the teachers, on the students, and the pupils. It is very, very terrible. In fact, to the level that the courtesan permitted and even entrenched in the secondary schools everywhere, where the students want to rape teachers, raping themselves, so many things. Then, inadequate of teachers for more than 14 years. Only 1,000 teachers were recruited. And teachers yearly are retiring. So when we got there were little or no teachers in the schools. At the wake of their dispatcher, a week to their leaving, they employ 1,500 teachers. Those that are not qualified, they just smuggle them from where they are and put them together. So when we came, we analyzed everything and we see that there's no headway with that, so they have to use executive order to ease them out. Then, one of the past governors even said it, that they are doing the government of unusual, and that one really affected education too much. They deviated from national policy on education. Also, is doing their own personally. Where you have people, a state that having the same uniform for the whole student in the school, in the state. You can't identify faculty from Osogram. Neither can you identify Osogram from Atahuja School of Science. It was like that throughout. Then, look at what do we call it? The building of mega schools. We abandoned small schools that are nearby to pupils. They continue to build a mega school and converge all the students in a place. None of that mega school is useful now. Where we are, the one we are using, we can't use half of the facility. And those schools, those buildings that are nearer to the people is meant to be tolerated. It has become the dens of robbers and hoodlums. Now, that is now they say Osun is the home for out-of-school children. Those are the issues that causes it. You know, here we are civil servant state and farming. Before many of the students can go to school in the morning, they have to hawk ogi, kerosene, bread, something like that, before the parents can be able to get money for them to take to the school. Now, by the time they cancel their school and merge it to another school, somebody that is living at Abere, schooling at Fakunle, you can still walk from Abere to Fakunle, but they now say, okay, people from Fakunle now to go to, what is the name of Owode? You know, such a person has to go with a bus or a cab. Where does he get money? The parents will say, sit down. That is how we come about out-of-school children. There are a lot of it. many meetings, many things that are going internationally, they are not attending. That is what we are now doing to revive. Whenever we go to any conference, they see OSUN. OSUN. We are now in the top of something now. So there's nothing they are doing now nationally that OSUN is not being invited. Because OSUN is now coming up. We are now embracing those as the international bodies that can assist us in many ways. When we came back, when we get on board, we start from indiscipline. We want that indiscipline is something we make effort to make sure if there's a discipline, everything will be okay. We make sure that the teachers must be disciplined and the students must be disciplined. From there, we engage the services of Peace Corps. We wrote a proposal and our able governor graciously granted us. So you go to any schools now, you will see these people maintaining peace. You can't see students running around, going around in the street like that, like before. Nothing like that. And the teacher themselves, they comport themselves now. So normalcy is now coming back in that level.
One area that gladdens the heart as far as education management in Osun State is concerned is the remarkable improvement of students' performance in public conducted WAEC, NECO, and JAMB examinations results. The state had gone down badly in such examinations in the past, sometimes ending up at the bottom of the ladder. Ratings based on statistics by these examination bodies, however, indicate a silver lining on a hitherto cloudy sky. For the government and people of Osun State, it is a proud outing, and Governor Ademola Adeleke has a lot to share in this show that has changed an unimpressive narrative for the better. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, Mr. Muritala Adekilekun, tied the success story to a number of factors, namely public school management reforms that have eliminated truancy, indiscipline, cultism, hooliganism, and other vices which the chaotic education policy of the APC government condoned. Mr. Adekilekun disclosed that products of public schools in Osun State are worthy being counted among the best in Nigeria.
Ratings is usually based on some statistics, and such statistics is also based on what WAEC or NECO or even JAMB, what they release for that material, for that particular period covered. And since the inception of the administration of His Excellency Senator Ademola Adeleke, and looking at certain things that have been put in place by the Ministry of Education to ensure that our students, they do stay in school to learn. Improvement in education is not immediate. But in this case, we were able to see the effect of the changes with immediate effect. Osun State was invited, among other states, to participate in an event, which is presidential, the event marking the anniversary, Democracy Day anniversary of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And it took place about 2 weeks ago, about maybe a few weeks, let me put it that way, in Abuja. Osun State participated alongside some other states. And the 4 students who represented Osun State, one is from Ila Grammar School, one is from Methodist High School, Ilesha. Then another one is from CAC Bodofan, here beside the Zenith Bank office, that school there. Now, these students, 4 of them, made Osun proud very well when they were at the presidential debate. That at the end of the day, we were to represent Nigeria in Malaysia this November. So when approved, myself, the executive secretary, SSA, maybe, and some others will accompany these students to Malaysia. And we hope when we get there, they will be the one to pick up the gold at the competition in Malaysia.
State Primary Education Board, SUPEB, along other important agencies, drive the public school system to fulfill the requirement of the government. The chairman of SUPEB, Honorable Ibukun Fadipe, told Living Spring Update that the board was mismanaged to a level where Osun State was denied opportunities of statutory grants from the federal government. Honorable Fadipe said Governor Adeleke has risen to the challenge by ensuring payment of counterpart funds to attract such grants, which were unpaid for 2 years. It disclosed the SUPEB is heaving a sigh of relief with the payment of the 2020, 2021, 2023, and 2024 counterpart funds. Apart from free education from primary 1 to 6 and junior secondary 1 and junior secondary 3 students.
Mo dẹ̀ fẹ́ kí gbogbo ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun kan fi àkókò yìí láti fi dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gómìnà wa ọlọ́lá jùlọ sẹ́nẹ́tọ̀ Aṣíwájú Jackson Nurudeen Adémọ́lá Adeleke fún takuntakun tí wọ́n ti ṣe lérí ètò ẹ̀kọ́ kárí ayé nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun. Àkọ́kọ́ lábẹ́ ìjọba tiwọn ọ̀fẹ́ ni ètò ẹ̀kọ́ nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun láti alákọ̀ọ́bẹ̀rẹ̀ primary 1 títí dé primary 6 bákan náà láti GSS 1 títí dé GSS 3 ọ̀fẹ́ ni ètò ẹ̀kọ́ nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun. Bákan náà ní gbogbo orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun nìkan ló ń fún àwọn ọmọ alákọ̀ọ́bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní oúnjẹ ọ̀fẹ́ nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun. Bákan náà ká tó débẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìjọba ẹgbẹ́ PDP lábẹ́ ìṣàkóso ọlọ́lá jùlọ gómìnà Jackson Adémọ́lá Nurudeen Adeleke, ọdún owó tí àwọn ìjọba àpapọ̀ tí wọ́n máa ń fún ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ kọ̀ọ̀kan láti lè bójútó ètò ẹ̀kọ́ ní ètò ẹ̀kọ́ kárí ayé ní ìpínlẹ̀ kọ̀ọ̀kan, owó ọdún méjì ní ìjọba tí ó kógbá wọlé ni wọ́n san fún ìjọba àpapọ̀ láti lè sọ pé kí ìjọba àpapọ̀ bá fi déédéé oye táwa náà fi lẹ̀ kún owó ti ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun láti lè fi ṣe nǹkan tó yẹ láti fi lè bójútó ètò ẹ̀kọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa. Kó tó dípa débẹ̀ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan ló ti bàjẹ́ nípa ìdí èyí tó jẹ́ pé gbogbo nǹkan tí ó yẹ kí ìjọba máa ṣe wọ́n ṣe mọ́ débi wípé lẹ́sìn lòtì àwọn olùkọ́ gan wọ́n fún wọn mọ́. Gbogbo ètò tí ìjọba àpapọ̀ ní láti lè sọ pé kí ètò ẹ̀kọ́ ní ẹsẹ̀ kùkú kó lọ ní gerege wọ́n ṣe mọ́ fún ọdún méjì. Ìgbà tí gómìnà wa débẹ̀ ló pèsè owó fún wa láti lè fi lọ fi gba tó jẹ́ tí wọ́n ń pè ní counterpart funding láti lè fi gba grant tí ìjọba àpapọ̀ pèsè fún ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun fún ọdún 2020, 2021 àti 2022. Lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ bí mo ṣe ń bá yín sọ̀rọ̀ yìí gómìnà ti pèsè owó bákan náà fún ti ọdún 2023 àti 2024. A ti gba counterpart funding láti Àbújá fún 2023 bọ̀ àti ìgbà 2024 à ń gbé ìgbésẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ ẹ lórí ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́. Gómìnà ti ṣe ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan nípa láti gbé ẹ̀tọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa sókè nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun. Ara ẹ̀ ní ìwé ẹ̀kọ́ nǹkan tí gómìnà ti tẹ̀ tí ó lé ní 250,000 copies tí a máa pín láìpẹ́ fún àwọn ọmọ wa. Kọ́pì ara ìwé tí mò ń sọ yìí òun ní láìpẹ́ gómìnà wa ìwé máa di pínpín. Wọ́n ṣe eléyìí tó jẹ́ àwọn ọmọ wa lè kọ̀ọ̀kan sí tó ń pè ní 60 leaves. Bákan náà wọ́n ṣe eléyìí tó jẹ́ 80 leaves fún àwọn ọmọ wa. Bákan náà wọ́n tún ṣe 40 leaves fún àwọn ọmọ wa. Bákan náà ìgbà tí a débẹ̀ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn nǹkan ni ó ti mẹ́ẹ̀ torí pé ìgbà tá a dé tá a káàkiri a rí wípé kò sí olùkọ́ nílé ìwé. Lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ a ti ṣe ìgbéléwọ̀n tí wọ́n ń pè ní interview fún àwọn tí ó fẹ́ gbaṣẹ́ teacher ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun tí mo dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé ìgbà tó bá fi máa tó ọ̀sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀ gómìnà máa wà ní ilé a máa pín appointment letter fún gbogbo àwọn olùkọ́ yìí láti lè pín wọn sí àwọn ẹsẹ̀ kùkú tí wọ́n lè lọ bá wa bójútó kíkọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa. Àwọn ẹni ti fi ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àyè sílẹ̀ fún ètò ẹ̀kọ́ láti dìké ní ẹsẹ̀ kùkú nígbà tí wọ́n fi ṣe ìjọba láàrin ọdún 12 tí wọ́n ṣe, tó jẹ́ wípé ó ti fa ìfàsẹ́yìn tó pọ̀ pọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ọmọ wa. Ìgbà tẹ́mi débẹ̀ tí mo káàkiri, mo rí pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ọmọ gan ni tó wà ní primary 5 primary 6 ni ò lè kàwé. Eléyìí fa ìfàsẹ́yìn tó pọ̀ bá ètò ẹ̀kọ́ ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun. Ṣùgbọ́n lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí a ti fi wákàtí kan kún oye wákàtí táwọn ọmọ wa ti fi ń kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ láti wípé kí wọ́n bójútó kíkọ́ àti kíkà wọn, láti lè sọ wípé kí wọ́n lè pegedé nípa àtikọ́ àtikà. Torí ọmọ tí ò lè kọ́ tí ò lè kà bẹ́ẹ̀ ni kó lọ secondary school nígbà téèyàn kàn waste, nígbà téèyàn fi àkókò ṣòfò ní. So eléyìí ó wà lára ìgbésẹ̀ tá a ti gbé.
Remember this adage: if education is expensive, try ignorance. In Osun State, education is a major industry. No serious and forward-looking government can ignore it. The journey so far is not only good, but it is assuring. Governor Ademola Adeleke is leaving no stone unturned to clear the ugly mess of a distorted education sector, thanks to the reforms being implemented to change the narratives for the better. Osun State government is hopeful that a turnaround for education that embraces quality teaching, adequate funding, sound infrastructure, disciplined student population, and security will do the magic. That is all today on Live Spring Update, episode 10. Join us next week for a fresher edition. I am Tomilola Daniel. Bye for now.
Spring Update is a production of the Office of the Spokesperson to the Governor, Governor's Office, Osogbo.
Shine.